Okay, now we're going to read the second paragraph. The title of this paragraph is Politics. So I wonder if this paragraph is going to tell me about Santa Anna being a president or maybe a king of a country, because I know politics is a word that's really close to the word government. So I wonder if he works in the government. Now, sometimes when you read, the stories you're reading may not sound very interesting to you, and there are some things you can do to make a story more interesting to you. One thing you can do is to use a highlighter. Another thing you can do is to draw a diagram like this timeline. And a third thing you can do is to ask yourself questions like I just did. I wonder if Santa Anna is a president or a king. So now when I read, I'm going to be more interested in it because I'm trying to find the answer to my question. So let's go ahead and start reading. After Mexico declared itself independent of Spain. Let me stop right there and explain what this means. Independent means by yourself or on your own. So if Mexico declared itself independent, which means on its own, of Spain, that means that Spain used to be in charge of Mexico, but now Mexico is on its own. And that's usually a good thing. So now that we understand that, let's read it again. That was an example of me checking to make sure I understand what I'm reading. After Mexico declared itself independent of Spain, Santa Anna became a politician. Hey, I was right. My question was he a king or a president? And I found out that he was a politician. He worked in the government. He served as the president of Mexico many times. None of his terms were very long. Now, I underlined or highlighted president of Mexico because if you're the president of a country, that's a pretty important thing. That's probably why he's famous today. But I noticed that it said none of his terms were very long. And we remember that term means an amount of time. So that means his time as president wasn't very long. That's not a good thing. Let me keep reading and maybe it will tell me why. None of his terms were very long, and he was not a good president. That's important, so I highlighted that. He was a president, but not a good one. And now I need to read to find out why. So this writer is making a claim. Remember the word claim? The writer is claiming that he was not a good president. Now, when you make a claim, you have to prove it. So let me see what the writer says to prove that Santa Anna was not a good president. Sometimes he showed little interest in running a country. If you're going to do something, you should be interested in it or you should like it. But Santa Anna showed little interest. Another word for that is disinterested. Whenever you do something, you should try to be interested. But dis means not. So if you are not interested, you are disinterested. Santa Anna was disinterested in being a president. And when you're disinterested, you won't do a very good job. Other times, he was a dictator who favored the rich. He made many bad decisions that made the country poorer. However, Santa Anna claimed that he wanted to help Mexico. Remember, if he claims it, it may not be true or it may be true. So every time Mexico was in trouble, he offered his aid. Now, you learned that these quotation marks mean that someone is speaking, but in this text, it means something different. When someone puts the word aid around a word, it means that that word doesn't really mean what you think it means. Aid is supposed to mean help, but when Santa Anna offered his aid, it wasn't really help after all. So let me go back to making my notes. Earlier, we made a timeline that said Santa Anna was born, he joined the army, he was popular, and he became a captain. So I continued my timeline. I didn't draw a new one. This is the same timeline, except I ran out of space. So I finished it down here. I found two more things in the second paragraph that I wanted to add in. Mexico became free, and Santa Anna became the president. Now I have a really good timeline of what happened in his life. I'm going to create a second set of notes. Well, I already created it. This one is called Boxes and Bullets. I use this for the second paragraph because this second paragraph is not a timeline. The second paragraph tells me something, and then it gives me facts. So it makes a claim, and then it tells me why it claims that. The second paragraph claims that Santa Anna was a bad president. So I wrote bad president. But why did the writer say that? Well, it said none of his terms were very long. So I wrote short terms. Then it said he favored the rich. So I wrote favored the rich. The writer also said that Santa Anna was a dictator, that he made bad decisions, and he made the country poorer. All of those are good reasons to call him a bad president. So on your notes, copy my notes and add one more reason why Santa Anna was a bad president. When you're done, raise your hand and tell the teacher so that she'll know that you're ready for your quiz. And those are all the notes for today. Please do well on your quiz.